Adding big horsepower to our Nova means beefing up the structure, and the easiest way to do that is by adding frame connectors. Now, despite how simple this process is, you can run into some problems, and it's good to know what you're up against. I don't really give up. I usually don't give up. My name is Trooper Max, and I'm restoring a car that's been off the road since 1977. But I've never done this before. I've taken the time to do my research, and I'm building the car of my dreams, hoping to inspire others to do the same. Alright, so frame connectors. Frame connectors are a solution to a problem for unibody vehicles. You have two different frame styles. You have full frames, which means they're continuous from start to finish. It's all one big piece, and it can be removed from the body. And then you have unibodies, like this 72 Nova, where it's actually welded on. It's a different style, it's more of a U-bracket, and it's welded to the bottom of the car. And the other thing that's important is that this frame is not continuous. So in the front of the car, you have the subframe. The subframe is removable. You can take off the bolts and remove it separately. However, in the back, you have frame rails. Now those frame rails are actually welded onto the floor, so you can't remove them unless you cut out the spot welds. The problem with this vehicle is that in the middle, there's absolutely nothing. The structure is actually the rocker panels on the floor, which isn't very strong. Now the thing is, mind you, back then when they had these cars, the horsepower wasn't very high. Having something like 400 horsepower was a lot. Now these days where you could push cars to 1,000 horsepower if you want, it's a totally different story. If we put a lot of horsepower on this thing's gonna twist. Now we're not making this a drag car. It's probably gonna have somewhere around 600 to 700 horsepower. We're not going crazy. But at the same time, if we put that horsepower in, this thing is not strong enough, so we need some frame connectors to solve that problem. So I looked at a lot of different frame connectors, just looked at different styles, and found out there's two different kinds. You could have a bolt-on and you could have a weld-on. The problem with the weld-on is once you put it on, it's basically on. You can remove it maybe on one side. Some people have it continuous, but generally speaking, it goes on the front of the subframe and it keeps going. And I just didn't really like that idea because then you're really married to it. So I thought to myself, a bolt-on is more what I'm looking for. The idea is basically to go from the subframe all the way to the beginning of the frame rails. So these cars were designed with nothing in the middle here. And that's an issue. But the biggest problem with these cars is that they were never designed to have any frame rails. So if you were to put something in here, you're gonna run into this issue. Right here, the floor pan. So the floor pan sticks out below, and if you wanted to take a straight piece of metal, like let's say this one, and you wanna put a frame connector, you can't do it. It doesn't work because now you got a lever point here, and it's just gonna be in the way. So I have seen people put on kits where it's lower here and then you connect it, or some people have the metal and they cut it and there's all these cuts on it. What I like about this one is it's actually like this. And you can see here what QA1 has done is they made a nice swooping contour and basically goes with the contour of the floor. So I'll put this on to show you what it looks like. So if you put it on, it'll go something like that. It's supposed to go a little higher because the bolt's still in there, but it just looks a lot more intentional. It's really gonna hug this floor pan here, so it's gonna be nice and continuous. It's just gonna look more professional. First thing I wanna do is remove our leaf spring hangers, and they look like this, and they just go in here. It's just 3 bolts. Now, I had done it in a previous video, and trust me, it looks pretty simple removing 3 bolts. It is not. Uh-oh. Something feels like it's spinning up there. That's not a good sign. Because this car is so old and they had never been removed before, they just completely rusted on. The brackets inside rusted away and it was just a disaster. So I ended up actually having to cut open the floor and take them out from the inside. Now, honestly, I could have just taken them and I could have cut the bolts off and that would have been fine. But what would have happened is the bolt would actually be trapped inside the frame rail and inside under the floor. They'd just be running around and just be really noisy. So I wanted to get rid of them. So this kit actually comes with it, and it comes with new clips. So you take your clips, which look like this, and they just go into the frame itself, and that's where they go. And then you take your bolts and you just bolt it on. So it's 3 bolts, pretty simple, but there's not 3 mounts here. You see, there's only 2. So the actual mounts, as you can see here, they're quite staggered. It actually comes with something else. These are the QA1 hangers that come with the kit. So this is where the lower trailing arm will connect. So it will go in there. So we'll put this on, but we're not putting it on today. We're only putting on the frame connectors because this is going to be part of the rear suspension, which we're going to be putting in the next video. But for now, we don't need that. The cool thing is because this is separated, I don't actually have to put it on. For the sake of the frame connectors, it doesn't actually disturb them in any way. So the next thing we got to talk about is the body mounts. There are 2 body mounts on each side. You got a rear body mount and you got one at the torque box. Now the thing about the system is you can't just unscrew them, put your frame connector on and screw them back in. Because what you want to actually do is you want to replace the body mounts. So this thing actually comes with body mounts. Each side comes with 3, okay? 2 of them have the same hole size. There's 2 of the same and 1 smaller one. These 2 are the body mounts for the middle and the back. The only challenge of putting these on is you can't just force them in. Because they're this thick, you actually have to lower the subframe. So we actually have to go loosen the subframe, drop it on one side, put them in, and then put them back on. So the way it works is pretty simple. You've got your body mount, which goes between the subframe and the floor, and you put it in basically like this. So it goes from underneath. So for the Rad Sport body mount, it doesn't actually go down, it goes the other way around. So it starts like this, which we're not installing today. It actually goes from the top, so top to bottom like that. So it's a little bit different. The top one has a smaller hole, it's a little bit different. The body mounts itself are much larger, so you can't really mess it up. It's pretty simple. So it all seems fairly straightforward, but I guess the most challenging thing about this job is the fact that we actually have to drop the subframe from the body itself. So what we got to do first is, before we do anything, I got to crack those bolts and see if we can get them off before I start jacking this thing up. So this car is over half a century old and the subframe's never been removed, so I don't expect this to go smoothly. Now, I already took the time to take some liquid wrench and spray it and just left it for a few days, but despite that, I predict it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world. But maybe we'll get lucky. Let's check it out. Because I'm going to be going under the car, I'm going to be messing with the frame and whatnot, I don't want to take any chances. The Shih Tzu doesn't want to squish daddy, right? So what I got here is I got more jack stands than the average person would have. So I have my jack stands here. There's also some taller ones in the back. So they're sitting back there. I got jack stands on the front, and I'm going to have another one. So essentially on each side I'm going to have 4 jack stands. I know that's a lot, but I don't think it's worth taking any chances. And if I'm going to be tugging on anything aggressively where the whole car is moving, I'm going to make sure, I sure as hell am not under the car for that. So that's the first most important thing. We are going to be moving around jack stands while we're doing this. However, I really want to have a bunch of anchor points and just be as safe as possible because it's not worth taking any chances. All right, let's try to crack this before we do anything at all. There we go. Nice. Okay, that's good. Let's do the front. All right, let's see. I don't like cracking. Nah, not gonna lie, this is the part that's kind of scary. I don't want to pull this whole thing off. I can feel my pants ripping as I'm doing this. Right. Damn. Right, let's try the big boy out. No chance. Damn. Oh, that's a good sound. That's not. Oh man, if only it were easy. That never happens. Damn it. Okay. I don't really give up. I usually don't give up. Time to get creative. All right, my next trick. This is from the Gordon Freeman School of Creativity. Pipe is huge. I don't know if this is gonna work, but it's massive. Oh! That is it, folks. Yes! The next stage is to put these clips in. So I mentioned the clips earlier. These guys over here, you may have noticed they have changed color. That's because I painted them. So these are just bare metal. This is where it's important to pay attention to details. Because this is going in, I had to make sure that they were in epoxy, so they've dried and they're ready to go, and I could put these guys on. Because I'm not going to be taking them out, I want to make sure there's epoxy on both sides, inside, so when I put them in, this metal's protected. Otherwise, it's going to rust again. So I'm going to put these in now. Okay. All right, let's put them in. Like, this wasn't hard enough as it was. Oh my God, now I got a Shih Tzu butt in my face. Small, he's just necessary, you know? All right, it's in. All right, so this is the one part of the installation I'm not a huge fan of. On the instructions, it says take a wood block and actually put it right over here. So beginning of the floor pan and end of the torque box. I don't like putting any sort of pressure on the floor pan if possible. This bolt, if you want to torque it out, this is going to be in the way, so that's why I can't put it up here, which would have been ideal, but that's not the way we could do it. So this is why the instructions say to put it here. So that's what we're going to do. All right, I'm going to start undoing this. I'm not using any power tools because I want to hear all the sounds. In case something happens, I want to know. Got it. Let's just start removing this one. Now we cracked it, right? It should start coming off now. That's really rough. Holy hell, eh? It's gonna be a battle all the way out. Now, I wasn't actually gonna replace this one, but because it's so easy to access, I will. We're gonna still use this spacer, so we need that. But we're gonna get this out of here. And there it is. That's the old one, and then that's the new one. This is just temporary. I'm gonna be restoring this frame later on, but right now I'm just doing it for the sake of getting it done. So now that we got the proper clearance, put the new one in. There we go. It's pretty much easy as that. And I can start to lower it just slightly. Okay. Very gently. Just like that. So, the new one goes in. I'm just basically working backwards. All right, so at this point, I have to make sure that this bolt goes in first before I do that one because this part's much lower. Now the issue is, I also have to hold this. Okay. So now I can take this part, put it back in here. I'm really trying not to be under the car, but it's really hard not to, unless you can see through stuff. I don't have X-ray vision yet. Oh, hey guys. What's up, Daxon?
I don't know.
What? I don't know.
Found it.
Oh, yeah. Found it.
Found it.
Come here and sit. Sit here. See, look, Dada's working on stuff. So, how you doing, Daxon?
I don't know.
You don't know? Say hi. Look at the camera, say hi. Yay. Dada's fixing the car. So I'm putting on some frame connectors. You're not gonna be under here. That's for sure.
Nova?
Yeah, Nova.
Yeah.
What's your idea? Oh, thank you. You got more parts for me? Okay, I don't want you to wander. Thank you. Okay, come here. I just don't want you right here because it's dangerous. Stay there. Okay.
Oh, money.
No, it's not money, it's part of the car.
This one.
This one, huh? Rusty one, eh? No, look how gross that is. Look how much better these are. Old, new. Whoa.
Whoa.
This is gonna be much better now. All right, so it's loosely connected here, loosely connected there. Now I'm gonna loosely connect it in the front. So what I gotta start doing is lowering this ever so slightly. Okay, focus our attention this side. I got the bottom of the body mount. I got a washer and one of the bolts. And just start putting it back in now. Just put a couple threads on. Now I can start lowering it again. Okay, at this point I'm gonna get rid of this jack stand. Lower it, even a little bit more. There we go. So now at this point, the car is sitting on the mount, which is sitting on the subframe, which is sitting on the jack stand in the front. So now I can just start tightening this. Okay, that's good. Now we can finish tightening up this part over here. Now I could really loosen it. Okay, it's now sitting where it should. All right, last thing I want to do is actually torque these down. So these have to be torqued down to 100 foot-pounds. So we got our torque wrench. We're gonna torque this one and that one. Going until it clicks. There we go. See how much more I went than just using the hand one? A lot more. So now I know that's tight. We'll do this one. There it is. Whew. And that's it. It's on. Let's take a look how it looks. All right, there we go. Frame connectors. Pretty fancy schmanky. I'm pretty happy with that. They look very nice. I think that's good. So we are gonna be putting on the cradle that goes in here, but that'll be the next video when we do the rest of the suspension. But for now, I'm pretty happy with it. We'll do the same on the other side and move on. All right, so frame connectors are on. You know what, this is cool. This is actually a huge milestone because after a year and a half working on this thing, this is the first item to go on the car that's new. Up until now, we've just taken stuff off. So this is exciting to see it go the other direction. Now, because this is the first item we're putting on, I think it's worth doing a little summary of the items that we're going to be putting on and what I think of them. So for this one, it was a pretty good install. It was simple, it wasn't difficult. You know, I've seen a lot of kits where you have to do a lot of welding or a lot of modifications to get them in. A lot of different kits are not as smooth. So the fact that this went on as easily as it did is pretty cool. Not only that, but I think this would be a good kit on a car that's finished because there's no modifications that have to be done. So you're not worrying about damaging paint or anything like that. Which is the reason why I put them on in the first place, because I want to make sure everything fits, take everything off, and then paint it. So that's why we're going to be doing the rear end, make sure everything fits, and then we're going to paint the car. But anyways, so overall I'm pretty pleased, and I had to deal with QA1 because we ended up ordering a bunch of their suspension components, the front and the back, so that's what we're going to be doing next, and they were really nice to deal with, so that's always cool. So I got to tell you, overall I'm pretty impressed with the company. So if you look at this part of the garage, we got a mountain of boxes, because these boxes are the solution to a lot of our problems. Crazy, right? Things really change. But I'm not gonna go into in detail because the thing is, that's the next episode. In the next episode, we're gonna be going through all the problems we ran into and all the solutions we found. But essentially what's happening, we're changing the whole rear end and we're changing the whole suspension in the back. But you gotta check the next episode to see why we're doing that.